Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name's Dr. Claire Killingback and I'm a senior lecturer in physiotherapy, and this is part 2 of a video where I talk through how to pass an interview to get onto a physiotherapy programme in the UK. I'm just going to give you a few more top tips and some more specifics about things you can be doing to make sure you prepare really well for that physiotherapy interview. So here's a bit of a checklist on things you can be doing to make sure you're well prepared. The first thing to say is each university will send you an interview pack where they detail what to expect, who's going to be interviewing, the processes they're going to take. So please make sure you read that interview pack really well. Each university will have a slightly different approach, so being aware of the specifics of what they expect in that interview will just give you confidence going into the interview. The other places that are really important to be looking at in terms of preparing are the Chartered Society of Physiotherapy website, also called the CSP. And the CSP are the professional body and the trade union for physiotherapists nationally. And so it's worth having a look at their website because they will bring you up to date on all the kind of current affairs and challenges and things facing our profession, because one of the questions you might be asked is around, what are some of the current topics in the news about physiotherapy and what's affecting them. So have a look at the CSP website because there's some great information on there for you. The other website that's really important to look at is the HCPC, so that's the Health and Care Professions Council, and they are the regulatory body for physiotherapists in the UK. And so to practice as a physiotherapist, you need to be registered with them. So on their website, they will have a list of all the different proficiencies that physiotherapists need to achieve to be able to register with them and practice safely and effectively. So on part 1 of these videos where I talk about how to prepare for an interview, I touch on the importance of the Francis Report and the NHS Constitution. So do make sure you look those up and have an understanding of what they are and how they have impacted our profession and how we work. Also remember that universities will be doing values-based recruitment. So as part of the interview, they want to hear about the values and attributes you have to make sure they align with the profession. So for example, the university might ask you a question around, tell us about a team working situation where your communication was really important. How did you contribute to that? And so they're looking for your communication, obviously within that team working situation. So you want to make sure you communicate really clearly and concretely. A really good example of where you have had to communicate well. Now that might be quite tricky to come up with just on the spot, but actually that's where the preparation comes in. So my suggestion would be you make a list of all the different areas that you have had experience which would feed into being able to demonstrate those values which are important as a physiotherapist. So for example, you might have done Duke of Edinburgh, you might have had some work experience with physiotherapy, you might have a part-time job that's relevant. You'll be you'll have hobbies and you'll be parts of sports teams. You might have had a family member who's had physiotherapy and you've maybe helped them with their exercises. So make a list of all those areas and then have a think about the attributes needed to be a physiotherapist. And if you're not sure, please check out one of my earlier videos where I talk through some of the key attributes for a physio. So then get your list of the different experiences that you've had, get your list of the different attributes and say, okay, so for these different experiences, where can I demonstrate my team working, my communication, my empathy, my compassion, my patience? All of those things are important. You won't necessarily use all of those examples when you come to interview, but you'll probably feel far more confident that you can come up with an example that is really relevant when they ask you one of those values-based questions. In terms of how you might actually structure your answer to some of those questions, I want to introduce you to the STAR method. So the STAR method is an acronym for remembering how to answer an interview question really clearly and succinctly. So the S in STAR stands for situation, and so that's where you just need to explain the situation so that your interviewer can understand the context of your example. They don't need to know every little detail, but they need enough of a background understanding to get what that situation was about. The T with STAR stands for task, and so that's where it's talking about the task that you took responsibility for completing and the goal of your efforts, your involvement in that. The A is for action, and that's around describing the actions that you personally took to complete the task or to reach that end goal, and it's about really highlighting those skills, values, character traits that they're looking for to demonstrate your answer to that question. The R is for the results, so that's trying to explain the positive outcome or the results generated by your actions or your efforts. And here it's really important that you emphasize, specifically what you contributed to that and actually what you learned from that experience as well. So maybe you're sharing a time when something didn't go particularly well, but what did you learn from that experience that you're going to take forward into another situation? So in that sense, that STAR acronym can just help you structure those answers. So have a look online for some of those interview questions that you might be asked, and then have a go, practice trying to answer them using those STAR method. My next top tip is about making sure that you are fully aware of the broad extent of the role of a physiotherapist. So what you don't want to do is go into the interview when someone says, so tell me about what a physiotherapist does. If all you can talk about is sport and musculoskeletal, then you're not giving that interview a confidence that you get the full breadth of that role. And so the reality is, if that's what you think physiotherapy is going to be, you're just going to be disappointed by the course and the job that you're signing up for, because that's part of physiotherapy, but it's not the full role. And secondly, you're unlikely to be given an offer because you need to demonstrate that you get the full breadth, the foundational knowledge that you need to be a physiotherapist. So if you're not sure on the full role of a physiotherapist, then please go back and watch one of my earlier videos where I talk through the different breadth and the different areas that we all work in as part of the profession. The applicants that I have seen that do really well have the following in common. So 1, they are really well prepared for that interview. They understand the full breadth of the role of a physiotherapist, and they're able to talk about the extent of that role. The second thing I've seen is that they might not be spot on with every answer that they give, and that's completely fine. And we do understand that you'll be nervous as part of the interview, so it's sometimes hard for you to access all that knowledge and information that you do really know and communicate it clearly. So that's not the problem. But the ones who do really well actually are willing to have a go and answer those questions. And I'm not looking for them to be like perfect physiotherapist answers. If they get on the course, I have, 3 years to work with them to develop that knowledge and skills. So I'm not looking for perfect answers, but I am looking for people to be well informed and to have a go at answering some of those questions. The third thing that really stands out from physio applicants that do well is that they are positive and they are enthusiastic and they are smiling. And you can just see that passion coming through from the career that they want to do. If I'm interviewing someone and they're just really flat and not really interested in it, then I'm thinking, really, do you really want to be a physiotherapist? And actually, are you the type of person that is going to be good treating patients in that hospital setting or in community? So you really want to come across as positive and enthusiastic. And the last thing that I think is really important that I've seen is that people who do well ask really good questions at the end of the interview. So the interviewer will ask you a bunch of questions, and at the end they will normally say, is there anything you'd like to ask us? And I appreciate at that stage you're probably just like, no, I just want to get out of the room or hang up from this online interview because this has been quite intense. But actually, don't. Hang on that little bit longer and prepare some really good questions that you want to ask the lecturers. So it's prepare. I guess that is kind of the moral of the story. So have some clear questions prepared in advance. So in closing, I think my final thoughts really are, you are about to make a massive investment. You're going to spend thousands of pounds investing in your education. So you want to make sure you pick a uni that is the right fit for you. And I know when I do interviews, I will always start out that interview by saying to the candidate, this is as much about you interviewing me as it is me interviewing you. Now, I appreciate that's probably not the reality because there is that power dynamic and, I'm the one that has the power to make the offer, etc. But I think it's important that candidates are aware that, I want them to ask me key questions and interview me and, be prepared to think about whether this is the right place for you. So as you have that interview experience, you'll get your offers, hopefully, and then have a think about actually which one do I want to pick? Was I interviewed by someone who was enthusiastic and looked like they would be a great teacher? Because actually, if your interviewer isn't looking very enthusiastic, they're probably not likely to enthuse you as part of your training. So really think carefully about that interview experience and pick a uni that works well for you. So good luck with your interviews. I'd actually love to hear how you get on. If this advice has been helpful, which I really hope it has, then when you get your offer, please feel free to just post a comment in the chat and let me know, because it's really exciting applying for this cool job and then getting an offer and going to study. So good luck with your interviews.